Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 771, if I remember correctly, which means this project, the blog and the podcast, exist for 771 days straight without any day off. It's consecutive writing and recording every single day. I will be repeating that from time to time because from one perspective I think it's worth mentioning because of the effort that I had to put into that and make sure that I keep myself accountable every single day for such an amount of time, but also a little bit to appreciate it and remind myself how far I've gone from that simple first couple of blog entries and very cringe and pointless really episodes and write-ups or blog posts that, well, maybe not pointless, but they had no essence in them. They just got created to start this thing up and see how far I can go, and it's now over 2 years, which is great. So this is journal, so I provide short updates about what happened the day before, and since we are on a Monday bank holiday here in Ireland, I will be talking about Sunday, which will be fairly short update because there was not much of highlights that I can provide. We focused on obviously deploying our small sauna business, sauna on the trailer, that we have like a mobile asset that we bring to the beach and allow people to book half an hour or full hour sessions, and they can, within that time, they can go to the ocean and take a dip in a cold water and come back and heat themselves up as many times as they wish. Obviously it depends on the fitness of the person, the distance to the water, because it's never the same due to tides and where we stand. So obviously within half an hour you can't do much of that type of rotation, but if you book full hour, then you have more relaxing, I would say, session where you can go a couple of times. So Sunday started in the morning with a bit of stress because I completely forgot that I was on fuel reserve when I came back on Saturday evening, and it was a bit hectic in the morning. I was prepping everything for the sauna and kind of thinking and making sure that I won't forget anything, and Elizabeth kind of took her thing, and we departed from the house, and I still didn't remember that we are low on fuel until we were just about I would say 2.5k away from the house, and the message popped in on the dashboard that I'm on reserve, and there was like, I don't know, 29 kilometers range left, which was quite scary. But again, it's floating because of how the sensor is in the fuel tank. When the fuel kind of, changes the position depending if you're going uphill or downhill, or if you're on a straight road, then the sensor sees more or less of that fuel. So it kind of goes between I would say plus minus 3 to 4 kilometers. So it might show 34 kilometers range left, and in a couple of minutes, if you're going, I don't know, I don't remember if you're going uphill or downhill, it will start showing you that you only have 20 something kilometers range. So I was a bit stressed out because I fired up sauna beside the house to heat it up faster and make sure that when we arrived at Rosnaula it will be fairly warm, so I only have to ramp it up a little bit. So obviously I couldn't stop by the gas station and by the pump with the sauna that has fire in it, even though it's pretty safe because it's like the stove window, apologies, is secured and whatever, but it's still externally fed sauna and it has a chimney, so you never know if there's like a small piece of I don't know, wood still burning, like an ember that pops with the draft or something like that. And while it's not dangerous per se in a normal weather here in Ireland, and especially on the road, that such small ember does nothing. It will just, you know, extinguish it by itself. But for example, I don't do it in dry weather when it, you know, even a small ember could start a big fire, and definitely not at the gas station. So I had to pass by the gas station because I didn't have much choice. I didn't have a place to stop, detach the sauna, go and refuel the tank and come back and reattach the sauna. It would take too much time, so I decided to wing it a bit and get to Rosnaula, park the sauna where it should be serving customers, add a bit of wood to make sure that it's still burning and heating up, and lock it up, and then drive back to the gas station, and fingers crossed there will be enough fuel to, you know, to get there easily. And it was, but it was still very stressful. And we got to the station eventually. We got the car refueled, and then we, on the way back, we didn't stop by the sauna. We just kind of bypassed the Mile Straight crossroad and went to the bakery shack to get some coffees. But for some reason it took a couple of minutes more than I was expecting, about 10 or so more minutes, and or even 15. And we were already late for the first session, which wasn't a good impression. Fortunately, these were existing customers, so they were more understanding. And obviously, as a gesture, I gave them extra 15 minutes on top of already kind of delayed hour. So they were happy. It was properly hot in the sauna by then. I just needed to give it a swipe and make sure that they have everything what they need. And we served them, and then another booking that came in just before the tide kind of was reaching us, because the tide was coming back and covering the beach and getting very close. So once all of the people were finished, it was probably about 1 o'clock. I quickly attached the sauna. I drove off the beach last minute to make sure that we won't get caught up by the tide, and I maneuvered or reversed the sauna because I needed to turn around, and came back and stopped at the ramp or the slipway, and it was our time. So Elizabeth and myself, we did like a proper session, and I think it was the best session we've had so far, at least from my perspective. I did 3 rotations, meaning 3 dips in very cold Atlantic and 3 proper heat ups. It was lovely. And then we broke for lunch just quickly. I got some groceries to making sure that Elizabeth and Julian had something to eat and to make dinner. And then I redeployed back to Rosnaula and served people in a complete torrential rain in the dark. We had a big booking for private sauna. It was about 9 people. It was huge and nice buzz. It was a lot of laugh and chatter, but weather was miserable all day long, and in the evening it was even worse. Albeit in the morning it was very chilly, less wet, I would say less rainy, but the end of the day was a bit warmer. It was probably twice as much degrees, but again it was soaking wet. It was drizzle all the time and warm but strong wind, so it was a strange weather, like a stormy weather, but all the people enjoyed it in the dark. I had a couple of lights deployed to make sure that it's nice and cozy, and a friend of ours, owner of the Bakery Shack, popped in for the last session as well. So overall it was a great buzz, great evening, and fairly nice revenue, even though we were stressing out all day long and we're kind of thinking that this week will be bad. We ended up with revenue. I usually rank the weeks Monday to Sunday based on revenue, and it started really bad but ended 12 of 20 weeks that we operate so far. So not far from the, I would say, middle ground of average or halfway. It barely brushed against the 11th place. So considering very quiet October, it wasn't a bad week. It was pretty good. And now this week there is a short break from schools for Halloween and end of October, so we see already that there's much more traffic, much more people around Donegal and Rasnala, so we expect that it will be quite busy. On Wednesday we're going to Dublin, so we will have a day off on Wednesday, so we want to squeeze in as much as we can from tomorrow, the Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Monday was a bank holiday today, and we decided to not deploy. We wanted to take a break because, you know, it was a lot. It was taking a lot of energy to operate day after day after day, and we needed that break. So we'll see how it goes. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of the day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are on the globe. I appreciate your time spending on listening to me and reading the blog. Big thank you. See you again in tomorrow's episode.